Don't retrench or sell just yet. Are you sacrificing your business continuity for short-term return on investment? One of the biggest challenges that organizations are facing globally is the financial situation due to the global pandemic, the lockdowns, and the losses that were incurred because of it. There's a universal shift in the understanding of how to manage an organization as the internal and external influences have changed from the beginning of 2020 or even before 2019. The markets evolve not only due to the global digitalization, but also the needs of individuals and groups have changed, and therefore their buying patterns have changed, and this affects the entire life cycle of services and products. The lockdown of several sectors caused a shift in supply and in demand, which led to price increases of resources from the producers, suppliers, and farmers, while manufacturers, wholesalers, and retailers are required to provide the same services and products at a consistent rate to the consumer. Usually, within a consumerist society, when there's an increase in the cost of resources, it will get externalized onto the consumer by the increasing of prices of products and services. The current marketplace atmosphere, however, doesn't allow for such increases of the commodities due to the economic state of the general public. The manufacturers are then forced to absorb the increased costs of resources and to comply to additional COVID-19 specifications while maintaining consistent operations. This rapid cost shifting and decrease in profit margins mean that these organizations can no longer afford to maintain the same levels of operations as before. To ensure their survival, organizations then attempt restructuring and implementing mechanisms to cut costs, which unfortunately starts with externalizing the losses this time onto seemingly proportionate stakeholders. This includes retrenchment, selling of assets, and redundancy of certain functions. Many organizations weren't ready to adapt after such an abrupt change and suffered great losses, even after restructuring, because of the butterfly effect that black swan events have on all the different capitals and disciplines that sustain a business strategy. Consequently, the organizations who did survive are under tremendous pressure to optimize their contingency plans to provide assurance for business continuity without sabotaging the sustainability of the organization. Unfortunately, restructuring often comes at the sacrifice of business continuity, which can make up for short-term losses, but only once, as the required non-financial capitals and disciplines were not assessed according to sustainable objectives. How do you preserve a fluent integration of the remaining operations with business processes, with the random resources and knowledge that remain? On the one hand, you have compliance obligations and legal procedures to follow, and on the other hand, you have to produce return on investment, but you cannot compromise on ethical trade to gain financial assurance, as it is ethical trade that delivers the capitals in the first place. Let's look at the 5 capitals of sustainability. Financial capital can be the first, which provides the cohesion required between the other capitals in the business context. The second one is natural capital, which relates to natural resources like water. The third capital is manufactured or built capital, which are the physical synthetics, tools, and technology required for operations. There's also the social capital that provides the platforms by which human interaction occurs with the other capitals. The prevalent development of online transactions by e-commerce could be an example. Then there's the human capital. That refers to labor, but one very important key to the successful contribution of human capital is knowledge. This key factor is often overlooked when planning and executing restructuring and results in failed business strategies. You cannot manage what you cannot measure, and you cannot measure sustainability by financial capital alone. I'm going to say that again. You cannot manage what you cannot measure, and you cannot measure sustainability by financial capital alone. How do you produce a financial bottom line without understanding or considering the social and ecological drivers of it? So what's the solution? How do we make up for our losses and ensure business continuity at the same time? Well, firstly, if you want your business to survive, the criteria for business continuity should form the foundation of your objectives, as opposed to short-term projections. The solution is informed decision making. It requires an accurate understanding of the non-financial capitals, how they do influence your financial discipline, and developing an organization-specific program containing the mechanisms and alternatives to alleviate the financial losses while adhering to the criteria of sustainable business objectives. While you cannot rely on the financial indicators alone, through a suitable and sufficient cost-benefit analysis, you can quantify all the relevant capitals and disciplines with a common financial denominator. Okay, let's use the example of life insurance to understand the principle. When a person applies for life insurance, the insurer screens the person to create a risk profile, and in some cases require verifiable evidence from health practitioners about that person's health status. The higher the risk profile, the higher the insurance package. Should a person be able to adopt an alternative lifestyle, not only will the living costs be reduced, the cost of insurance will drop significantly. The same principle applies to business risk management, where transparent risk profiles can be optimized to effectively reduce the costs of operation along with the crippling insurance costs. The pitfall where many organizations fail, though, is that just like the health practitioner that is required for life insurance, without the appropriate specialists and specific measures designed to evaluate the non-financial capitals and disciplines, the data on the risk profiles remain incomplete and inaccurate, resulting in limited options to justify profit margins. In a world where mega risks and global trends are prevalent, it causes so much uncertainty and an element of helplessness. It's easy to get overwhelmed when planning for the future. In times like these, you want to partner with like-minded specialists who can see your vision, who can understand your circumstances, and who can provide you with the certainty required to make informed decisions. At Interform, we understand that only by serving one another we can shape the future together. For a free online consultation, simply follow the link above or click on the button below, and then I'll see you